Michel Lotito, aka Mr. Eats Everything, was a French performance artist who once ate an entire Cessna 150 airplane. Holding the Guinness World Record for strangest diet, Michel first became aware of his strange affliction when he was 9 years old, and the glass he was drinking from broke, and he began chewing on the broken glass fragments and liked them. Throughout the course of his life, he consumed 8 bicycles, 15 supermarket trolleys, 7 TV sets, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, also a waterbed full of water, a pair of skis, a coffin, 1,600 feet of steel chain, a ton of random stuff like glasses, plates, and razor blades.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we're doing, let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who come back into the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
These are the world's freakiest sea animals.
Okay.
In July 2022, people in Chile gathered around to see what a fishing boat caught off their shore. The creature was 16 feet long, and the video got 20 million views when it was posted online, because people were debating whether or not this was an actual sea monster. But I'm sad to say it's not. This is an oarfish, a fish that typically lives about 3,000 feet below the surface. Next, at Laguna Beach in May 2021, people were shocked when they saw a terrifying football-looking fish washed up on the shore. This was a Pacific football fish, a fish that usually lives 3,000 feet under the surface. Basically, remember that terrifying light bulb fish from Finding Nemo?
Yep.
That's this guy. They're actually so rare that even marine biologists know very little about this species and what causes them to wash up on shores. And in 2022, a fisherman named Sean Bailey was sailing around off the coast of San Diego when he spotted a weird ghost-looking creature floating on the surface of the water. But after a few minutes, it started moving again because it was just sunbathing. This is a mola mola, or an ocean sunfish. These fish live 660 feet below the ocean surface and prey on jellyfish, and then warm up by sunbathing on top of the surface. And this allows seagulls to eat the parasites off its body. So for them, it's kind of like a free trip to the spa.
These villagers dig up their dead family members every 3 years, and you won't believe why. These people are from a village in Indonesia, and during their Menim festival, they get their ancestors' corpses, clean them, then put them all out to dry, and dress them in new clothes as a ritual. And the reason is because they believe they're showing them love and respect.
This is why you should be scared of mirrors. Reddit user Liberated Man said that when he was about 12 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He walked across the hall to the bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when he glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't his face. He said that it was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at him. He only saw it for the briefest moment, but it seared into his brain. He screamed and ran out to find his dad. His dad, of course, investigated and then calmed him down, or tried to. They had a prayer session because he was so freaked out. Eventually, he went back to sleep. He said that fast forward to his 30s, he had forgotten all about the event until one night, while visiting, his dad quietly brings it up. He said, "Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to him in a rush of a memory, sending a chill down his spine. He said, "Yeah, I remember." And then his dad said, "Well, sometimes I think about that night." He looked down at the floor with a serious expression, and then he said, "I saw it too." He went on to describe exactly what Reddit user Liberated Man had seen. Neither of them have any idea what it was. Apparently, when his dad went to investigate, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. And the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was his son's.
So they both saw the same thing. So they weren't tripping there. And a Reddit user saw the same thing too, so maybe those two stories are linked. It's a creepy rabbit hole you gotta get into. That's an edit, man. Call them out.
Yep! Scientists just did something you are not going to appreciate. Trust me, you're gonna want to favorite this video because this could be the start of something horrendous. Because they thought today was a brilliant day to cut open 200 million year old parasitic eggs that they found in fossilized feces. You know, dinosaur shit. They found one of the earliest predators were infested with roundworm, otherwise known as nematodes, and other parasites. I feel like I shouldn't need to say this. Don't fucking do that! I swear after 2020 we've learned nothing! And this hasn't come long after scientists revived a previously extinct ancient worm. But don't worry, that's another horror for another day. I'll be the first to say it, I do feel like we're opening Pandora's box. We revive an ancient parasite out of the good of our hearts and then it gets out of control and destroys the world. These are the parasite samples, by the way, if you wanted to see them. They are being called Morphotype 4. Bear in mind, we are nervous about permafrost melting and releasing ancient pathogens and diseases into our worlds. And now we're willingly sawing open dinosaur shit that includes a parasite. I mean, does 1 + 1 = 5? Personally, I'm not a fan of this one, so send this to a friend because they need to know what's going on. I'm terrified. Elon!
Forbidden places.
Why would we even do that, bro? With all that's going on in the world right now, we think that's a good idea to examine some parasites that probably went extinct a million years ago because it was in dinosaur crap. Now we're trying to reintroduce it. It's just gonna decimate the ecosystem, man. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why?
Is that you can never visit. Snake Island is an island off of the coast of Brazil, filled with deadly snakes.
Rising sea levels cause this piece of land to become an island, allowing for the snakes to flourish in their own environment. There are now up to 5 snakes every square meter, and you are not allowed to go here. In Svalbard, Norway, there is a global seed vault, aka the Doomsday Vault. It is the world's seed bank, storing samples of crops from all over the world just in case of a global catastrophe. The tomb of Qin Wang in China holds an army of warriors made of clay. It protects the burial spot of the first emperor of China who died in 210 BC, and we only discovered this tomb in 1974. Paveglia Island in Italy was used to exile hundreds of thousands of victims of the plague. It is said to be one of the most haunted places on Earth, and a dark local legend says that 50% of the soil is made up of human remains. Follow for more.
Don't go there, bro. Most haunted place in the world.
Was this the worst form of medieval punishment? If you found yourself as a prisoner in a medieval castle, you may be subject to the dungeon, torture, or even execution. But what could be worse? Well, let me tell you about the oubliette, also known as the Forgotten Room. This was a specialized type of prison in some medieval castles, perhaps for the worst of offenders. It was a narrow shaft, sometimes 8 feet deep, with only one entrance and exit, a trapdoor located on the ceiling. The shaft being so narrow that the individual would be forced to stand. They couldn't kneel, they couldn't sit, they could barely turn around. To fall alone into the oubliette would sometimes break bones. In some cases, these would even be built into the upper walls of the castle, so the victim could hear the hustle and bustle of castle life, but could not escape. Depending on the situation or individual, they might throw you some food and water if you were to be kept alive. In most cases, you were subject to stand there, starve to death, and then be devoured by vermin. The most you could do was stand there, look up at the grate, and realize you cannot escape. Oh yeah, did I also mention sometimes jagged stones would be placed at the bottom? And of course, you were also subject to stand in your own waste. Lep Castle, which is located in Ireland, had quite an active oubliette. So many skeletons were discovered in one in the 1920s that it took 3 cartloads to transport them off the property. Between the sleep deprivation, the starvation, the psychological torture, and the claustrophobia, I think this is the worst form of medieval torture.
Definitely up there, man. You're just standing. Say can't bend, can't do anything. Up street all that time. That's insane. It's another edit, man. Like I said, if you guys see any edits, call them out too. We learning together.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
Never knew that. What the hell, pigs?
Fun fact, Michel Lotito, aka
Crazy.
Mr. Eats Everything, was a French performance artist who once ate an entire Cessna 150 airplane. Holding the Guinness World Record for strangest diet, Michel first became aware of his strange affliction when he was 9 years old, and the glass he was drinking from broke, and he began chewing on the broken glass fragments and liked them. Throughout the course of his life, he consumed 8 bicycles, 15 supermarket trolleys, 7 TV sets, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, also a waterbed full of water, a pair of skis, a coffin, 1,600 feet of steel chain, a ton of random stuff like glasses, plates, and razor blades, and of course, a Cessna 150 airplane. He began eating the plane in 1978 and spent 2 years consuming it bite by bite, cutting the plane into edible pieces about 1 to 2 centimeters long until he finally finished his meal in 1980. To protect his stomach and intestines from getting pierced by any sharp objects, Mr. Lotito would consume a ton of mineral oil and water during his meals to help the metal, glass, or whatever else move through his system. Michel Lotito passed away in 2007 at the age of 57 from natural causes.
My man ate a whole plane. If you would have told me that a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm gonna have to look him up, see what else he ate, bro. Any other world records? He had that broken many, man. Eating
These are the world's
that type
freakiest
of
land
things.
animals. In 2022, a TikToker named Caustica uploaded a video that showed a weird-looking creature running around his backyard. Once the video went viral, wildlife experts took to the comments to explain that it was a lesser blind mole rat. And this is because of how its tiny eyes are nearly tucked under its skin. They spend most of their time underground creating tunnels with their massive teeth. In 2020 in British Columbia, a woman was walking around when she saw a bug that looked like a tarantula with wings. She then shared a photo of the bug to Facebook, where wildlife experts explained that this was a very big moth called a polyphemus moth. These moths have huge bodies, and despite their scary looks, they don't have mouths to bite. And they have a lifespan of about 2 weeks. And in 2024 in Sydney, Australia, a TikToker named Blonde heard a weird tapping sound coming from her window at night, and she went to investigate. And what she found is like something out of nightmares. At her window, a bat was tapping on the glass, trying to find a way to escape the storm. And it stayed around until the next morning, where Blonde had to call a bat expert to come remove it. But this turned out to be a non-aggressive species of a bat known as a flying fox. And they only eat fruit or flowers. They also struggle to keep warm when they're wet, which explains why it was at her window. Now I just feel sorry for the little guy.
What is the dirtiest country in the world? Well, firstly, the cleanest country in the world is Denmark. It's also labelled the most environmentally friendly. But what country is the dirtiest? In 5th place, it's Pakistan. Pakistan is home to the world's most polluted city, Lahore, and has become a major problem in Pakistan. The air is voted hazardous for breathing, and Pakistan is also voted 3rd highest for public defecation. In 4th place, it's Bangladesh. Bangladesh suffers from pollution also, mostly from vehicles, factory fumes and dust. The air quality in Dhaka, one of the world's most crowded cities, is also labelled as very poor and dangerous. Serious overpopulation in Bangladesh is also a huge factor contributing to this. In 3rd place, it's Vietnam. Vietnam is very polluted due to the transportation system and the excess cars and motorbikes on the road. The water is very polluted due to trash being thrown away and neglected, and a lot of the popular cities can be covered in litter. In 2nd place, it's Myanmar. Myanmar has suffered badly with trash pollution, but most of all, water pollution. Myanmar have a long-lasting problem with dirty water, more than anything. Being a river cleaner is a job, collecting trash such as plastics and cans, then selling it, making up to $10 a day. Finally, in 1st place, it's India. India have suffered really badly from air pollution, trash and hygiene issues. It is #1 in the world for public defecation, and overpopulation has been becoming a concern for India as the country is growing at a very fast rate. Most of the lakes and rivers are poisonous and hazardous, and the pollution in some areas is very severe, making it the most polluted country on Earth. If you enjoy videos like these, please follow our page for more facts.
We learned out here today, secrets. I didn't know, man. I didn't think India was gonna be on that list. Most polluted in the world. We gotta do better, man. We gotta take care of our planet, bro. We only have on the Earth, man, so we got to do our best to take care of it. I wasn't expecting that. Hey, man, that's why I say these facts. I'm learning just like y'all. Edit, man. I think, man, I'm getting better at spotting the edits. watching these videos every day with you guys.
Can you believe that this was almost the ghost face mask for Scream? While scouting out locations for the first Scream movie, they stumbled upon a mask in an abandoned house. It was produced by a company named Fun World, and it was called the Peanut-Eyed Ghost. Well, Fun World wanted a little bit too much money for them to use their mask, so they went to the drawing boards. Here are just a few of the concepts that they drew up. Quite different, huh? They were eventually able to come to an agreement, and thus one of the most iconic horror masks of all time was born. This may look like a Wish.com Michael Myers mask, but it's actually from the original movie. 43 years ago, they painted a Captain Kirk mask white, and now we have one of the most iconic horror killers ever. I'm actually impressed with how well it held up over that long. Who is the most realistic psychopath in cinematic history? Starting in 2014, Belgian professor Samuel Leeston wanted to know which movie characters best represented psychotic traits. Over the course of 3 years, him and 10 of his friends watched over 400 movies, spanning from 1915 all the way to 2010, trying to find the best movie psycho. Believe it or not, Norman Bates, Patrick Bateman, and Hannibal Lecter didn't even make the cut. The team believed that their traits did not quite fit the psychopath mold. They all agreed that the best movie psychopath was Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men. They wrote that he seems to be effectively invulnerable and resilient to any form of emotion and humanity, and I 100% must agree. Their runners-up were Hans Beckert in the 1931 German film M, and Henry Lee Lucas in Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Who is your favorite movie psychopath?
These are the safest countries to go if World War III was to start.
That's mind blowing.
And considering the news at the moment, you might want to sit down, shut up, and listen. So favorite this video, just in case you ever need it. I hope we never do. Now there are countries all around the world, but let's start with Argentina. Now if this was to all break out, it's likely that the world would look similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day at the end. It's likely that all the smoke from all of these will block out the sun, this resulting very quickly in famine and crop failure. But don't panic, because we have Argentina. In Argentina, there are an abundance of resistant crops, such as wheat. This is one of the places on Earth that actually has a chance of surviving World War III. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Switzerland. Now, aside from the fact that it is incredibly neutral when it comes to politics, it has a landlocked geography and mountainous terrain, as well as being one of the countries with an insane amount of underground bunkers. Actually, there's 26,000 of them, which are actually all very hidden, which will mean you will be very safe. As well, just in case there is an invasion, Switzerland literally has booby traps everywhere. It's actually kind of insane and awesome. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Antarctica. Now, barely anyone thinks about going there, which is why it's pretty safe. However, as you can tell, it's a bit fucking cold, so bring coats. Next up, we have Greenland. Now, it was in this movie, and they all survived. But on top of that, it's remote, mountainous, and politically neutral, making it kind of an ideal refuge point. And on top of that, worst case scenario, you're not too far away from the global seed vaults, which, you know, has a lot of seeds in it for planting, and thus food and survival. There are literally so many more countries on this list. So if you'd like me to go through more countries in a part 2, let me know. And hopefully we'll never need this video. But just in case we do send this to a friend, it could save their life one day. Elon!
One of the biggest mysteries in history has finally been solved. Alright, firstly, in 1915, explorer Ernest Shackleton and his crew set off for a voyage to explore Antarctica. However, before they could make it to Antarctica, the ship they were on, known as the Endurance, got trapped and crushed by the ice. Now, with no other options left, all of the members on board had to navigate a lifeboat hundreds of miles to safety. On this journey to safety, all of the crew survived many storms, even one being a hurricane, until they got onto a rescue boat. Even though they failed to get to Antarctica, this became a famous story because they didn't let a setback crush their spirit. But for over a century, the biggest mystery was, where did the ship end up? And believe it or not, but in 2022, the ship was actually discovered, and they were so close to where they wanted to be. It was found 2 miles underwater, and because of the frigid temperatures, it was actually pretty well preserved.
I think that's just a sign, man. Like I said, they didn't give up. They didn't stop. They literally couldn't, bro. It was their way of survival, man. They didn't give up. They didn't stop. They didn't let that crush their spirits, and they found their way home. But they was like right there, bro. Goes to show you, man. You can literally be right there. You never know, man. You know that's an edit. Stop playing with us.
A few wholesome history facts to brighten your day. In 1957, Northeast Airlines Flight 823 crashed onto Rikers Island. Prison staff and inmates alike ran to help the survivors. To acknowledge the heroic actions of the 57 inmates who helped, 30 were released and 16 got a reduced sentence. When Anthony Smith was 4 years old, he was fitted with a hearing aid, but soon became depressed and refused to wear it, saying, "Superheroes don't wear hearing aids." His mother, desperate for help, reached out to Marvel. In response, they created the superhero Blue Ear in his likeness. The zip-up cardigans that you would always see Mr. Rogers wear were actually made by his mother. She also knitted them for military troops in Pennsylvania. One of them is now located in the Smithsonian Museum. 3 completely useless yet interesting facts. Have you ever wondered why barns are typically painted red? It has nothing to do with the color itself, but for its usefulness. Long ago, different colored paints and sealers weren't an option for farmers. They needed to make sure they found or made a paint or sealer that would protect the wood on their barn. They would seal their barns with linseed oil. They would add milk, lime, and iron oxide. Rust would kill fungi and mosses and worked as a great sealant. It also turned the mixture red in color. Have you ever wondered why there's cotton inside of some pill bottles? The tradition of doing so started in the early 1900s when Bayer would put cotton in their bottles to prevent breakage of their pills during shipment. And finally, what is the purpose of putting your phone in airplane mode when you're riding on a plane? I mean, there's absolutely no way that could cause a problem while you're on an airplane, but it actually could. You see, airplane mode disables all wireless and cellular signals coming from the phone. Believe it or not, those signals could actually interfere with important...
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in
airplane mode. There's a must on the plane.
A lot of the locals there who believe what they're watching is a serial killer on the streets. Somebody who is roaming the city undetected, and it all ties back to Lady Bird Lake and all of the bodies that continue to appear in that lake under very strange circumstances. So they think that this is connected to the nightlife on Rainy Street. Thought being that a lot of young men, while they're out at bars, are getting profiled at these bars. The suspicion is that their drinks are getting drugged and then they are wandering off on foot. Now, pathway-wise, they eventually make their way to Lady Bird Lake, but somebody is following these men. The suspicion being that they are drowned in the lake and that the bodies are recovered. However, there is somebody who is suspected to be a survivor of an alleged attack. So what he remembered was that he was definitely drugged while he was out at a bar and then was on foot. While on foot, he was then crossing a bridge near Lady Bird Lake where he was pushed off by someone. Whoever that mysterious figure was who did push him off the bridge, it's an unknown. And I would say the bigger question is, why are the Austin PD not investigating this?
They need to, but that's what I say, man. I'll cover your drink. If you walk away, if you have to go to the bathroom and you come back to that drink, might as well just dump it out, get a new drink, man. You don't know what's in it. Learned that very early on, Seekers. It ain't worth it.
This is the case of the girl that vanished into thin air. Her name is Yuki Onishi. On April 29th of 2005, 5-year-old Yuki was out celebrating Greenery Day with her mother. It's a national holiday in Japan, and what they do is they go out, they celebrate nature, and they collect bamboo shoots. So Yuki, her mom, and 60 other people were out doing this. Yuki was so excited that she found her first bamboo shoot, she showed her mother, and then she ran off to find more. That's when she disappeared and was never seen from again. When they realized that she was nowhere to be found, they actually brought in search dogs and the police. This is where it gets really strange. The dogs followed her scent to the middle of the forest and then just stopped. The scent stopped in the middle of the forest as if she had just disappeared into thin air from that spot.
Whoa.
To this day, she has never been found and no one knows what happened. If you want to hear some theories, come back for part 2.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. dying.
Scary.
Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Animals that could actually kill you. While this creature is about the size of a teddy bear and has big adorable eyes, experts say to stay away from a slow loris at all costs. If you even attempt to pick it up and hold it, it will most likely feel threatened and try to bite you. And their bites are filled with a fast-acting poison, so it's best to just admire its cuteness from far away. Seals may look adorable swimming and splashing in the water, but these guys are not to be messed with, especially if they're leopard seals. Leopard seals are known to be extremely aggressive and have been reported to attack researchers if they get too close to them. And even though their bites might not be enough to kill you, they can still leave you with permanent damage. Swans are seen as one of the most beautiful animals, but if you ever see one swimming around in a lake, don't even think about feeding them. Just like other wild animals, swans will assume that humans are threats, and if you try to feed them, they'll just get closer to you until it tries to bite you. Most people see dolphins as one of the friendliest creatures that everyone wants to swim with, but the only people that should be swimming with them are professionals. Wild dolphins have an instinct to attack without a clear purpose, so if you plan to get in the water with them, it's best to swim at a nice distance, because you'll never know what state they're in.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh*! Oh sh*! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
What did he see, Seekers?
AI art is not something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman
that is haunting AI pictures. This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
Dirty facts about history.
Damn, what do you guys think, bro? We know AI, man, that technology, it keeps getting more advanced. So could that have been a glitch, or was somebody doing that on purpose? Or is it really just haunted, bro? AI is going in. It's not like we can control it, we can regulate it, but it's getting too advanced for my taste.
That school probably didn't teach you. In the 1400s, prostitutes wore wigs on their lady parts with fake pubic hair to prevent lice and cover up any syphilis sores before doing the dirty. An intern at NASA once stole a safe full of moon rocks, sprinkled them on a hotel bed, and proceeded to have sex with his girlfriend on top of them. Man was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for getting his rocks off. Raphael, the Italian Renaissance artist, not the Ninja Turtle, died of exhaustion from non-stop sex. In other words, he boned till he croaked. A common hairstyle in 17th century Europe was the Polish plait, a gross, smelly mass of crusty, matted hair cemented together by pus, nits, and dirt. The hairstyle was believed to have healing properties and could supposedly protect people from illnesses. During the Iron Age in Ireland, a new king would be crowned in a ceremony in which he penetrated a horse in front of an audience. The horse would then be eaten for dinner by everyone who just witnessed them doing the dirty.
Hell no. I don't know what type of rituals and stuff they was doing back in the day, but that ain't it. What the hell? Edit. Call him out.
There was only one child when this photo was taken. Let's enhance it with sharp AI. Mur and Mrs. Colton were taking a picture of their daughter. When they developed it, they were shocked to see their older daughter, Anne, who had to 3D only months prior in an accident. The other child seems to be sensing a presence, but after this picture was taken, they never saw Anne again.
How the hell did AI know that? It's getting too advanced. I'm
Did
telling
you know
y'all.
that there is a mummy in Sicily that blinks? Yes, she blinks. This is Rosalie Lombardo, who died of pneumonia in the 1920s at the age of 2 years old. Rosalie is perfectly preserved, from her external features to her internal organs, but that's not the strangest part. Her eyes are still as blue and flawless as the day that she passed away. She simply looks like a child taking a nap. But this child tends to open her eyes and close them randomly, like she's blinking away the cobwebs. People have come to see her for hundreds of years, and every time, visitors will leave and say, "That dead girl is blinking." What do you think it is?
How the hell is she blinking? We seen by the clips that we reviewed together how sometimes, you know, like even the body after it passes, it goes on, like it still does, like, I guess, weird things because of build up gas and things and stuff like that. But to be blinking, I've never heard that before. I need you guys' theories on that one.
I bet you don't know how false teeth were originally made. In the very beginning, most sets were made of animal teeth. These proved to be uncomfortable and ineffective. So that's when they started venturing into using human teeth in dentures. In the 1700s is when sugar became widely available across Europe, and sugar started to cause the teeth to decay way more rapidly. It wasn't uncommon for a peasant to remove their own tooth and sell it for a quick buck. There was also an issue with grave robbing to obtain teeth. Of course, neither of those were needed when Waterloo teeth became a thing. With over 50,000 young men lost at the Battle of Waterloo, suddenly they realized they had an overabundance of teeth. So it wasn't uncommon at all for someone to be wearing the teeth of a soldier.
People were stealing teeth back in the day. The more you know.
Is this the one that allegedly appears in the cemetery at night? Yes, it is. So this right here is Fabiola Rodriguez's grave site, and in August of 2020, her mom noticed that certain things were going missing, like toys and personal belongings from the site. A grave nearby this one, they have a camera attached to it because somebody had been vandalizing their son's grave. So anyway, these people notice this on their camera footage and go to the cemetery owners who say, we know who that is. So they get her contact information and introduce themselves to her and say, hey, we have something really beautiful to show you that we caught on our camera. And her mom just broke down into tears because she was like, that is my baby. I know it is. That is my baby. It also captured her walking away with what appears to be a man. And her mom, Sandra, said, I think she was there to take him to heaven. They both have a tragic story of things that happened to them. And I mean, both of them still haven't gotten justice. So I think she was there to comfort him and take him to heaven. But yeah, I mean, isn't that just amazing?
The camera caught it. And she said it was her baby, so I'll take her. We're gonna have to check up on that one. Mysterious.
This is the scary story about the mom. One night, there was a 6-year-old girl who woke up in the middle of the night to her mom standing over her bed, staring down at her with a creepy smile on her face. The girl knew something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The girl then said, Mom. Yes, she replied. What are you doing, the girl asked. Watching you sleep, she said. Why, said the girl. The mom didn't say anything and kept staring at her, smiling. They each didn't say a word to each other for minutes, but still keeping eye contact with each other. Then the mom began to walk backwards, still staring at the girl with that creepy smile, and then went into the girl's closet and shut the door. The girl then got up and ran to her mom's bedroom and saw her mom asleep in her bed.
Why was the mom staring over
Deadliest
her?
disasters in human history.
Oh.
Part 1. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into its flight, killing all 7 crew members aboard. The astronauts actually lived through the initial explosion and survived for nearly 3 minutes before they died on impact with the water. In 1184, a group of nobles gathered in a room in the Church of St. Peter above the latrine pit of the monks. All of a sudden, the floor collapsed due to their combined weight, causing 60 nobles to fall to their death into a pool of poop and sewage. In 1893, gifts were being passed out at a magic show in Victoria Hall. Over 1,000 kids tried to force themselves down a narrow staircase that led to a single door that opened inward. Only one child at a time could pass through, causing 183 children to be crushed to death.
Man, what the hell? All over some damn toys. These, man, like I said, when we read these clips together, bro, it's always bothering my mind, man. We learning new things every single day. Tap in with us.
Animals that became serial killers, Part 2. The sloth bear of Mysore. In 1957, the sloth bear of Mysore mauled over 30 humans and took the lives of 12. The sloth bear's killing spree didn't stop, and the bear just had a desire for killing. The killer sloth bear went missing in late 1957, after the killings took place. What do you think ever happened to the sloth bear of Mysore?
Whoa. Did they like hunt for it or try to take it down, or they just let it roam?
In California, when their son began to say something very creepy.
On a family vacation that took a strange turn. He visited the same area where a missing woman was last seen.
He said that there was a woman staring at him in the field nearby.
Got goosebumps. He said she needs our help, but she's dead, and she's laying face down with her legs up. She can't talk to me, but she's over there. We need to go help her.
Creeped out by this, both of his parents went to go check the surrounding area, but found nothing.
He said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom. He kept saying, trust me, Mom.
After arriving home, Victoria posts about the experience to Facebook, and not long after she does so, the police came knocking at her door with photos of a woman named Sandra Johnson Hughes. She had gone missing in the exact same location 1 year prior. Authorities would then proceed to exhaust their efforts, searching the area over the next few days. Sadly, they would find nothing. If what this little boy was saying was true, experts believe that any evidence of her remains would be long gone by now. Could Caden have actually seen the ghost of this woman, or is his description merely a coincidence? What do you believe?
Black shirt and blue hair. He describes down to blue hair. Said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom.
Hayden was able to identify 3 out of 4 pictures of her. Detectives went back to the meadow with the Gorba family to investigate, but the case remains open.
That is insane. How he nailed like that description. Whoa, that's really mind blowing. You guys really think you saw something? This world, man.
Terrifying animals you are glad are extinct. Number 1, the megalodon shark. This animal can grow to about 60 feet long, and one tooth is said to be the size of a human.
Damn.
They were meat-eating creatures that could kill and destroy just about anything. If they were still around today, oceans would be off limits. Number 2, the titanoboa. This snake weighed about 2,000 pounds but was also 40 feet long. The snakes killed their prey with constrictions, meaning they would suffocate them to death. Number 3, the Caprosuchus. Just imagine if a T-Rex and a crocodile had a baby. This animal looks like a crocodile, but it has very long legs and can run very fast. The Caprosuchus could run as fast as 40 kilometers per hour. For context, the average male human runs at just 13 kilometers per hour. For more
morbid facts that will give you nightmares. When a prisoner is electrocuted in an electric chair, they can feel absolutely everything. They are fully aware that their body is being fried in real time, and one prisoner that survived said he actually smelled and tasted like cold peanut butter. Human corpses decompose 4 times faster in water than underground, and 8 times faster if left in the open air. It takes around 359 humans to have enough iron to forge a sword from their blood. Just about 3,000 people go missing every single year in the US. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977 in France. That was exactly the same year that the first Star Wars movie came out.
Insane to think about that last fact.
These are animals that used to be giants, part 1. Up first are bears. And yes, we all know bears are still pretty big and dangerous, but nothing is compared to what bears used to look like. So you see this mountain, and you see how it looks like it has a bunch of claw marks up and down it? Well, that's because it does. This mountain is called Devil's Tower, and there's a very disturbing story behind it. The scratches on this mountain are actually from a giant bear's claws. The bear always tried to reach the top, but it never could. This story has been passed on to generations of Native American tribes, and just imagine coming in contact with a bear this big.
What the hell? Seekers, you guys believe that one? A bear that big, man, was trying to crawl up that mountain? They said that story's been passed down for generations, so... I can't even imagine seeing a bear like that. The whole ecosystem would be different.
This picture has in common. There might be a lot of people who don't know this, but they were a part of the original case that inspired the film Scream. It was 1990, Gainesville, Florida, the University of Florida, where a string of horrific crimes took place, and it involved those students. And when I think of almost every victim involved, Krista's story is definitely one of the most chilling, as her body was first found, but her head was found separately on her dresser. Were all these suspicions, and eventually some circumstantial evidence would put this kid behind bars, especially because he looked the part. The problem here is that he wasn't the guy. This was like a 72-hour period where it was just back-to-back slayings, till eventually they found their culprit, who was camping out in the woods outside of the university and was recording himself singing songs about what he had done. And if you want additional details on this, we covered a whole episode getting into the back.
I never knew Scream was based off that. I'm telling you, man, these media pieces, they be based on true stories. We just don't know the real backstory behind it, man. Another one. Exposed.
We figured, look, if we can remake perfect copies of these Parthenon sculptures, the visitors will have the same experience when they come to the British Museum. They'll see these amazing statues, they'll understand the aesthetics of antiquity, the Greeks would have their treasured objects back, and everybody would be happy. That was the plan. The British Museum decided they would take a very strong position against the project. So of course we did it anyway. And we did it guerrilla style, because we read the regulations for the museum. It says specifically, visitors may use 3D scanning equipment in the museum, and they may use the product of those 3D scans for any non-commercial purpose. Boom, we're done. So we went in guerrilla style and made scans of all the Parthenon sculptures.
I mean, so what's the pitch? Why should the British Museum have the copies, not the originals?
The Parthenon sculptures in their current state teach people absolutely nothing. In fact, they misinform people about the aesthetics of antiquity. These things were brightly painted with skin tones and garish colors. So the British Museum could take these copies, and not only could they display them in exactly the same form in which they're being displayed now, they would also have the capacity to restore them to the condition they were in when they were on the Parthenon, so people can really understand what the aesthetics of the ancient world were like, and to see them in their full glory.
Today's true crime story is
Yeah, so why did the British Museum, why did they want the real ones instead of, I guess, the replicas that they were making? That's the question we need to really be asking.
pretty chilling, okay? This one even scared me, right? But anyways, this has some very disturbing and graphic details. Viewer discretion is advised. In the early 1900s in Bavaria, Germany, the Gruber family lived in this farmhouse called the Hinterkaifeck. The family consisted of husband and wife Andreas and Kazilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria kids Joseph and Kazilia. The family noticed a lot of strange things going on around the house. Andreas noticed a set of keys that were missing, and also there were footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the house, but there was never no footprints ever leaving the house. There was also a newspaper in the house that Andreas never remembered buying, and it looked as if someone was trying to pick at the lock on the shed. While all these strange things were going on, they had a maid at the time, and the maid was like, "Look, I gotta quit. This house is haunted." The family kept hearing noises in the attic, and the maid just like, "Look, I can't be here anymore. The noises in the attic, all the stuff going on around here, I can't do it."
She's smart.
Although strange things continue to happen in the house, the family ends up hiring a new maid named Marie. What the Gruber family did not know was that those strange things would lead to their murder. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, the Gruber family was murdered. Victoria's son Joseph was killed in his crib, and Maria was killed in her bed. What's so crazy about this is that same day, March 31st, 1922, that was the same day that the maid Maria was hired. Meanwhile, the rest of the Gruber family was found murdered in the barn, and they were stacked on top of each other. When people in the town didn't see the family for days, they grew concerned, and the police came to the house, and then that's when they discovered all the bodies. All the victims were killed by a pickaxe, but the police were so puzzled about something. The family wasn't found until 6 days later, but it seemed like someone had made themselves at home. Police noticed that food was being eaten, the animals were being fed, someone was sleeping in the beds, sitting on the furniture, things like that. For years, the police were looking for the suspect or suspects, but they couldn't find anybody. So the case was closed in 1955, and the year after the murders, the whole farmhouse was demolished. To me, I feel like someone was able to sneak into the house without the family's knowledge and was living in the attic for months. That's what I think. Alright, y'all, that's it, and I'll be back to do more true crime videos for you guys.
Heard cases about that before, people being in the places and they don't know.
In 2018, both of these women were found decapitated in Morocco. And trigger warning, this story is extremely disturbing. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this story takes us to Morocco, but specifically to the Atlas Mountain. And the two victims were Louisa Jespersen, who was 24 years old from Denmark, and her friend Maren Uland, who was 28 years old from Norway. And in December of 2018, both of the women had decided to go on a month-long camping trip in the mountains. And both of the women had also been studying outdoor activities at the University of Southeastern Norway. They were also apparently roommates, and they were training to become guides. Now, it's believed that both of the women were being targeted by the men that ended up attacking them. Not only were they targeted, they were also observed for multiple days before the entire thing happened. And on December 17th, both of their bodies were found beheaded inside of their tents by another hiker. Shortly after that, there was a video that went viral on the dark web that supposedly showed one of the beheadings. And even though you could dig deep enough to find this video, I really don't recommend watching it. Just reading the comments alone about the video and what it shows are extremely disturbing. But I'll describe it for you guys in the least graphic way possible. Now, the video is quite short, but it begins with one of the women being filmed on what appears to be a cell phone. At first, she's being filmed while she's lying down on her stomach. And you can see one of the perpetrators trying to cut her head from the back. When the perpetrator realizes that this was not going to work, he then turns her around so she's facing up. He then puts his foot on her face, kind of locking her into place on the ground, and proceeds to decapitate her. And apparently all you can hear in the video is her screaming for her life as she asks and begs for her mother. Eventually, authorities were able to find their main suspects, which were these 3 men here. And the 3 men were known for having pledged their allegiance to ISIS. And the reason for them doing this to these 2 innocent women was because they believed that they were enemies to their god. And then in July of 2019, the 3 men were found guilty and were given a death sentence. And although one of the men did take the easy way out and took his own life, the other 2 are still waiting for their sentence to be executed.
To 50 years in prison, and you won't believe what he did. In 2022, Noah Nay shot a 5-year-old girl in the neck and shoulder in Oklahoma. This teen, who I swear looks like a 9-year-old, was riding in a stolen car and purposely shot inside a home where the little girl was playing. But again, this was no accident. No one did this for a gang initiation. Luckily, the little girl survived, but had the bullet hit a spot an inch away, she would have definitely died. Noah was arrested, but not long after, he escaped the juvenile detention center by jumping a fence. He was found 4 days later, but when he was put back into the detention center, he repeatedly assaulted staff. Noah was sentenced as an adult, but the judge said that in 2028, his sentence can be reduced if he's proved that he's changed.
Imagine getting stood up for a day and it causes you to become a key part of a murder trial. It was 2012 in Kentucky and Shaina Hubers was 21 years old. She had just graduated from the University of Kentucky and was dating 29-year-old Ryan Poston. Ryan was an attorney and the pair was said to be very toxic. They'd been together for about 1.5 years but were very on and off. On the night of October the 12th, things would end for good. Those close to Ryan knew he wasn't happy. He tried ending things with Shaina multiple times, but she refused to accept this. She would turn up to his house, refuse to leave, and they would end up getting back together.
Toxic.
On the 12th of October, the pair were having food at Ryan's parents' house, and they would end up in another argument. Ryan decided to end things once and for all, and to prove to Shaina that he was over her, he decided to go on a date with another woman the next night.
Oh.
The woman was the stunning Audrey Bolt, who was the current Miss Ohio. Audrey and Ryan had arranged to go to a bar the night after at 9:30 p.m. Audrey was really looking forward to it and was very confused when he never showed up. Meanwhile, Shaina had turned up to Ryan's house again without warning. After another massive argument, she took one of his guns and shot him 6 times. She then decided to call police to confess. Now, while she was being interviewed by police, she was acting incredibly bizarre. She twirled around the room and sang, "I did it, yeah, I killed him." She also sang Amazing Grace. Shaina tried to claim that she acted in self-defense, but she was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Audrey had to testify in the murder trial. However, in August 2016, Shaina was actually granted a new trial. This was because it was revealed that one of the original jurors was actually a felon. She was again found guilty though in her retrial and was sentenced to life.
The baby-faced...
Man, that's just a sign. If you guys ain't in a toxic relationship, man, just try to end it all because it can turn into something even worse, man.
Gangster that shot a little girl in the neck has been jailed for 50 years after a court heard that he knows the difference between right and wrong, but has no amenability to treatment. Noah Nay was sentenced as an adult for the 2022 shooting that saw the teen drive a stolen car and fire a gun towards the house in which the little girl was playing, hitting her in the neck and shoulder. It has been reported that his actions were part of the requirements for a gang initiation.
An American couple married for 75 years. They had one wish in common. A wish that shocked everyone. Jeanette, 96, and Alexander, 95. They started dating at the age of 8, were officially married in 1940, and live in San Diego, Calif. They have 5 sons and daughters and 16 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Some time ago, Alexander suffered an accidental fall that fractured his hip, and he was confined to his bed at home. He used a special bed. It was placed next to his wife Janet's bed. Soon after, Alexander lost interest in life and became weak. On this day, June 29th, Alexander lay in Janet's arms. The daughter informed her mother that her father had died. Janet said sadly, with tears in her eyes, "This is your wish, to pass away in my arms. I love you. Wait for me. Soon we will meet again." Surprisingly, what's on the calendar for June 29th, 75 years ago today? It was the day they were married. The next morning, their daughter found out. Her mother had also passed away peacefully. It turned out that their common wish was to pass away happily together in an embrace. Follow me. Get more true stories every day.
That is like a story that we can leave without coincidence, man. Like, that was their one true wish, and it happened like just a day after each other, man. They were together that long. That's how they wanted to go out. That's really bizarre.
Here's every character I think that's going to be in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. If you remember at the end of the movie, Abby ends up asking Mike, hey, when are we going to go back to see my friends? I want to see them. And Mike says, you never know what's going to happen. Now, in my opinion, this movie's going to be based at least 5 to 15 years in the future. Now, hear me out. If we're following the plans of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as a game, we have to go into the withered characters, because they've been untouched, unmaintenanced, and unloved for so long. We're going to be seeing withered characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Maybe not 15 years in the future, I may have dragged it a bit, maybe 3 to 5 years in the future. And as you guys know, all of the withered characters are a little bit more devious. And why are they more devious? Because these kids have been left alone for so long. They loved Abby, they loved hanging out with her. Yes, they wanted to kill her, but still. Withered Freddy, withered Chica, look at Bonnie, she doesn't have a face. Withered Foxy, Golden Freddy. Also think we're going to be seeing the puppet as well, aka Mike's little brother. So hear me out, I'm going to be the first one to say it. When we get a Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we are going to get withered characters. It's going to be based at least 3 to 5 years in the future. Just look at withered Bonnie. Imagine Abby pulls up, getting ready to see her friends, and all of a sudden sees Bonnie. My other theory is that they are going to be pissed. They've been left alone for way too long and miss their friend. And that is what's going to drive this next movie to be absolutely insane. Like and follow for more.
Yep, this nightmare is real, and planes are literally flipping over when passengers get up from their seats. A flight attendant for JetBlue had to issue an emergency announcement, making everyone realize their worst nightmares had come true on the plane, with one woman leaving a grim and dark message saying she wasn't sure if she'd ever see her grandkids again. The flight attendant asked all passengers to spread out as their weight was believed to be causing the plane to flip over, telling everyone to move to the middle of the plane.
So very slowly, little by little, move towards the middle of the apron, because apparently everything is like it tipped out.
With a tech expert saying this was so terrifying, he described it as the plane was about to do a backflip.
It felt like the plane was about to do a backflip.
Which begs the question of how safe are these planes to begin with. Many of the passengers had rushed to the rear of the plane when deplaning, which caused this, but there's still many questions which JetBlue does not have the answers for. While no one was injured, we don't know if this is something that can happen to all planes or if it's rare.
See how this fake thug reacted to a life sentence. In 2015, Jalil Smith-Riley was arrested for his involvement in a 2013 robbery that left Aaron Martin with a bullet in his head and Portia Brooks dead. Smith-Riley pled guilty to the crime and was hoping to avoid a life without parole sentence. Prior to being sentenced, he cried and begged for leniency.
Consequences, man. The fake thug, bro.
His grandfather also spoke on his behalf.
He always come by to check on me and his grandmother. He always did. He worked in the church with us all.
When the judge spoke, Riley Smith didn't like what he heard.
For defendant serve a term of life without parole. As to count 4, the offense of attempted murder.
Check it out.
This heartless thug will die in prison.
Hey man, you have to deal with the consequences. If you wanna be about that life, you gotta know what comes with it.
One of the most disgusting shock videos on the internet explained. I'm explaining this off memory and other people's comments. There is no way I watch this video again because it's that gross. The video is 1 minute long, and as it starts, you hear a piano track over the video and you see 2 girls making out. But at around 10 seconds in, it gets absolutely sickening. One of the girls gets a glass cup and defecates in it, filling it all the way to the top. A jump cut then occurs and it shows the 2 women licking the feces in the cup like it's ice cream. It cuts again and it shows one of the girls rubbing the feces around her mouth, and the video then cuts again, and it shows the 2 girls making out with feces in their mouth and all over their faces. The next scene, one of the girls sticks her fingers down her throat, trying to make herself vomit into the glass as the other girl licks it. The next scene, it shows one of the girls standing up and the other one is on her knees. The one standing up then pukes directly onto the face of the girl on her knees. The final scene shows both girls completely covered in feces as it's even overflowing their mouths. And this is where the video finally concludes. This video is absolutely sickening, and when I tell you not to watch it, don't watch it. I know I say that for all the videos I cover, but this one isn't brutal or gory. It's just plain out disgusting, and you really just don't want to see it. You can watch reactions on YouTube of people watching this for the first time. Joe Rogan even has his reaction video up from years ago.
Ooh.
Hey guys, do you remember Adam Johnson, the hockey player who suffered the fatal cut to his neck in a hockey game on October the 28th? Well, the player whose skate caused the injury has actually been arrested and charged with manslaughter. This is Matt Petgrave, probably not saying that right, but he is the player whose skate caused the injury to Johnson's neck. And news out today is saying that he has been arrested and charged with the manslaughter of Adam Johnson. Now, initially, I was kind of shocked at this news. And all of the footage that I saw, I did not think that it was intentional. But then, when you go back and you watch the replay in slow motion, that kind of changes things. Apparently, the hockey world and all of the hockey fans have been waiting on this to come. I'm going to add a clip in here that shows when the injury occurred during that hockey game. And you'll watch it through in regular time first, and then it will be played in slow motion. And I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. You can see it happens quickly there, but watch it in slow motion where Petgrave is in the red, he comes across and intentionally kicks that leg up, which slashes Johnson's neck and results in his death.
Here's how all of the missing children from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie passed away and became the animatronics. Well, as you guys know, little backstory, these kids ended up going to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. They all ended up disappearing in, I'm pretty sure, 1984, all because of William Afton. Wanted to run some experiments and see if he was able to combine children's souls with these animatronics. And let's just say he did his damn thing. Up first is Freddy. It is said that Freddy's original character was unalived by hiding, which kind of makes sense because you never really see Freddy doing any wild shit. I mean, you see him, but he's always kind of just like lurking or pretending to be still. Then have Foxy, said to be the soul of one of the kids that was running, hence the reason Foxy is always so fast and always running. We also have to take into the account the kid in the orange, who has Foxy's hook, and literally starts sprinting as soon as Mike gets too close. Then have Chica, who's said to have the embodiment of one of the kids that was screaming. It seems as though you always see Chica when she jump scares people in the games is she's screaming, which kind of makes sense. Then have Bonnie, who's said to be after one of the kids that fought back. He obviously didn't win. That shows why Bonnie's always so brawling. Then you have Golden Freddy, who's said to be the souls of 2 children. Which is supposed to be someone named Cassidy, but in the movie it's Mike's little brother. That's the theory. Like and follow for more.
Oh no.
Those theories are crazy.
No. I thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love Is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it. I'm seeing photos.
Should we check that out, Seekers, man? People who be getting caught up in those groups, man, they be into some weird things. But to say that they thought Robin Williams was going to come down in a spaceship, that's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard watching these videos together with you guys. Be careful, man, of those groups.
Show a 13-year-old boy. Police say he murdered his mother, and before that, he's standing over her in a vulnerable position as he's getting ready to her to death. Derek Rosa snapped a selfie after the crime, his hands smeared with blood.
No, I'm not hurt. I just have a little bit of blood on my hand.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She said, miss.
Okay, what did you do then?
Blood all over the floor.
Where is your sister? Your sister's still there?
She's sleeping.
She's sleeping, okay.
Excuse me, miss, what do I do if she wakes up?
If you wake up, just let me know. I need to know. Do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she said, I took pictures and I told my friends about it. Was that bad?
You told who about it?
My friends.
Who did you send the pictures to?
My friend. I don't know his real name because he is an online match. He plays famous a lot.
Cell phone video shows the moment a teenage boy surrendered with his hands up.
His demeanor, he was very quiet, apologetic, very respectful. Not what you would expect walking into that home and seeing that crime scene.
The 13-year-old, identified as Derek Rosa, is currently in secure detention. When officers arrived to Unit 201 inside the Amelia Oaks apartment complex, they found the victim in her bedroom with multiple wounds, just inches from her newborn baby girl.
Next to her was a crib. And inside of that crib, a 14-day-old baby that fortunately was not injured.
Places that will disappear in your lifetime. Venice, Italy is a beautiful place, but it will disappear in your lifetime. Venice is slowly sinking.
What?
The canals cause many floods, and these floods are causing Venice to tilt east. Experts say that by 2100 the city will be uninhabitable. The Great Wall of China is amazing, but it will soon be gone. 1/3 of the wall has already been destroyed. This is mainly due to natural damage, for example climate change. But people walking on it and local settlements stealing bricks from it has also damaged the wall badly. Experts say that within decades the wall may be gone. San Francisco is an amazing city. It's known for earthquakes. But in 2016 geologists found something scary. They found 2 earthquake fault lines underneath the San Francisco Bay. This could destroy San Francisco, and there's a 75% chance this could happen before 2086. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is one of the most amazing things in the world, but it won't be around for much longer. It's already decreased more than 50% of its original size, and lots of the vibrant coloured corals are now turning white. Some believe the Great Barrier Reef may disappear by 2030.
Damn, that's just in a couple of years. What the hell? All these places, man, that's about to disappear. I gotta see them before they go, man. The Great Wall, Venice, Italy. Hey, man, I want to travel. What the hell? I'll have to put that on my list.
This is one of the worst true crime cases I ever covered, and this is a massive trigger warning. In 2007, the boy on the right named Gabriel Kuhn, who was 12 years old, was killed by Daniel Petrie, who was 16, and on the left. Daniel Petrie and Gabriel Kuhn became good friends and began playing an online role-playing game called Tibia. At one point of the game, Gabriel asked Daniel for 20,000 virtual cash to clear the stage. Gabriel borrowed money from Daniel to use in the game and then refused to pay him back. Gabriel then blocked Daniel on everything, and this made him furious, and he went to Gabriel's house to pay him a visit. A couple of days before the murder, Daniel called the home phone of Gabriel and his mom answered. She explained that she would be out of town and that her son would be home alone if they wanted to play, completely unaware of the boys falling out. And on August 23rd, 2007, Daniel went to Gabriel's house and knocked on the door. Nobody answered, and Daniel kept knocking, but eventually Gabriel started speaking to Daniel through the door. Daniel told Gabriel to unlock the door and let him in, and if he apologized to him, everything would be fine. Believing this, Gabriel unlocked the door and let Daniel in. And after entering the house, Daniel locked the door behind him. Daniel then brutally assaulted Gabriel. Gabriel tried his best to defend himself, but he failed to do so. Daniel was older, bigger, and stronger. Gabriel was dripping in blood after being brutally beaten by Daniel. Daniel then laughed at the terrified Gabriel and took him to the bedroom, where he then sexually assaulted him. Gabriel cried, but this made Daniel even more cruel. After all of this, Gabriel threatened Daniel, saying he would tell his mother everything that happened, but this only made Daniel more mad. And in a fit of rage, Daniel took a cord from a gaming console and wrapped it around Gabriel's neck and strangled him with it until he went limp. Daniel assumed Gabriel was dead, and believing this, Daniel tried to move and hide the body in the crawl space, leading to the bedrooms. However, the body was too heavy, and after realizing this, Daniel searched the house for sharp tools, and eventually he found a kitchen knife and a hacksaw. Daniel then returned to Gabriel's body, and in order to make it lighter, he took the knife and hacksaw and began cutting at the top of Daniel's leg to remove it, and as Daniel cut into Gabriel's leg, he woke up. Gabriel wasn't dead. He let out a blood-curdling scream, but Daniel restrained him, making sure to twist and turn the blade to make it even more painful. Eventually, Daniel dismembered his right leg and moved to his left. And after severing both of his legs, Gabriel passed away. His autopsy suggested he was still alive throughout the whole ordeal, and he eventually died from shock and blood loss. After Daniel finished the dismemberment, he tried to hide the body again, and he wrapped a cable and wire around Gabriel's body. But the body was still too heavy, and Daniel then fled the house. Gabriel's body was discovered by his brother, and the body was left by the hallway door and the legs and the hacksaw too. Daniel Petrie was admitted to a juvenile center in September 2007 to only 3 years. This is due to Brazil's laws of sentencing minors. And to make you realize how evil Daniel was, when the judge asked him if he had any last words of remorse, Daniel said this: "Gabriel was a coward and a thief. He burns in hell right now where I sent him. And when I die, I will find him in hell and finish my revenge." It's also worth saying that the photos of the crime and Gabriel's body had surfaced on the internet, and nobody knows how they got there. I highly recommend not to look at them due to the graphic nature of them, and they would definitely be the worst crime scene photos you will ever see. It's honestly insane how Daniel is walking free today. May Gabriel rest in peace.
This is the case of 19-year-old Alexi Traviso and how she went to the hospital complaining of back pain, but ended up getting charged with murder. Alexi Traviso was a 19-year-old senior in high school living in Artesia, New Mexico. She was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she was dating her boyfriend Devin for about 2 years. Honestly, Alexi just seemed like a typical teenage girl. Her prom was coming up soon, her graduation was around the corner, and she was already thinking about what university she was going to go to in the fall. January 26, 2023, that day was pretty much just like any other day for 19-year-old Alexi. She went to cheerleading practice that day and got home in the afternoon. She spent some time with her family and then she went to bed. However, she was woken up in the middle of the night with severe back pain. This was like not normal back pain. Like Alexi was in so much pain that her mother decided to take her to the hospital. Alexi and her mother Rosa arrived at the Artesia General Hospital in the early morning hours of January 27th. Alexi checked in and told the doctors that she had really bad pain in her back, so they wanted to do a test to see if maybe she had a UTI or a kidney infection, since back pain can be a symptom of both of those things. So they're getting ready to do those tests, and then they asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" Which is a very common thing to ask. I mean, if you're a girl and you've gone to the doctor before, I feel like they always ask you if you're pregnant. On top of that, experiencing back pain can be a symptom of pregnancy. So the doctor asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" And she says no, that she's still a virgin and that she hasn't engaged in any sexual activity. So the doctor's like, okay, perfect. And they send Alexi over to go get a CAT scan done so that they can check for kidney stone. And while she's getting that test done, the doctors decide to still do a pregnancy test just in case, because you never know. So they did a urine test, and when the results came back, they were positive. Alexi was pregnant. Now, of course, pregnancy tests can sometimes be inaccurate, so the doctors wanted to check her blood just to make sure that she was actually pregnant. And while all of this is going on, Alexi tells the doctors that she needs to go to the bathroom. Like, she has to go number 2, and it's coming out, like, right now. So she gets up from the hospital bed, and she literally runs to the bathroom holding her butt because she feels like it's going to come out. She locks herself inside the bathroom, and she's in there for quite some time. Doctors and the staff at the hospital are getting kind of worried because she's been in there for a while, and they know that she's pregnant. So they're thinking maybe she's having some type of miscarriage or something else is happening. They knock on the door, but Alexi refuses to come out. At one point, her mother Rosa also goes over to knock on the door, but Alexi says that she's just having trouble going number 2 and that she'll be out shortly. At this point, Alexi has been in the bathroom for more than like 20 minutes. So the doctors tell her, if you don't open the door right now, we're going to unlock it. Before the doctor can unlock the door, Alexi just opens up and starts walking back to her room. One of the doctors looks inside the bathroom just to see, what happened, and they do see that there was all over the floor. They asked Alexi, what's going on? And she said that she simply got her period. Call over the cleaning lady to come clean up the bathroom, and when she starts to take out the trash, notices that the trash bag feels heavier than usual. So Lila, the housekeeper, goes to look inside the garbage bin, and when she pulls out a bag, she finds a baby. The baby was inside a clear plastic bag at the bottom of the bin. Okay, more in part 2.
Never wake up a sleepwalker.
Do you want me to wake him up?
Laughing. This ain't funny though.
This girl was freaking out when her sister got out of bed and started sleepwalking.
Stop staring at me like that. Alexis! Mom! Mom!
It's like a spirit takes them over.
She's just standing here staring at me. She can't. Hey. I gotta go. Shaina.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Follow for more.
Let's talk about one of the scariest urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark.
Okay.
Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except to one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said it was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So he asked one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement, and everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
This is why you should never read someone else's diary. Once there was a girl named Samantha who took her friends to her dad's lake house because her dad grew up in the area and actually named the lake after her, Lake Samantha. But as soon as her friends arrived, they noticed something strange. There was a doll hanging on every door in all the houses in town. Samantha explained it's because of a local urban legend. Years ago, a man escaped from an insane asylum nearby, unalived his entire family, then disappeared. Since then, people would go missing around the same time every year, so the dolls were used for protection. But after spending a day by the lake, Samantha and her friends found an old diary, half buried in the dirt near an abandoned house. They opened it up and saw multiple entries dating back to the 80s. But the most terrifying part was the last entry dated August 13, 2010. And it said, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She doesn't hear the voices and she has a lot of friends. Sometimes I take her to these woods. I even named the lake after her." That's when they all heard the sound of twigs snapping behind them. And when they turned around, they saw Samantha's father, saying, "You weren't supposed to find that. Follow for more."
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children.
God
she
damn.
had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
Do you know how lucky you have to be to survive 2 of those events in history? Yeah, something on his side. Because he survived 2 of them. That's insane. And those women who were those kids, I don't think that record's probably ever going to be broken. 69? What the hell?
Are the creepiest YouTube channels to ever exist.
Talk about it.
Part 1. Number 1, Meat Sleep. Meat Sleep began posting in 2015 and has since then stopped posting, but that still doesn't change the fact that its horrifying videos and very disturbing history linked to the channel gives it a spot on this list. Meat Sleep then removed the several videos it had on the channel even after garnering over 16,000 subscribers, but that still doesn't change the fact that some people saw some very terrible things. Most of the channel consisted of videos that seemed to be of people being stalked, but there was one video in particular that people pointed out that really just got under their skin. There was one video on the channel titled Meat Pig, which, in cannibals' terms, is actually human meat. Many people believe that the creator behind these videos is secretly a murderer and a cannibal as well. I assume the creator of this channel is still unknown, but who knows, they may be in jail.
And they was posting on YouTube and getting away with it? That was evidence right there. Man. Meat sleep. First time hearing about that, man. Top in with us, you're gonna learn. Just edit.
This
All them
teenager
out.
killed his mom over a bad grade. This is 15-year-old Gregory Ramos. And on November 2nd, 2018, Gregory Ramos got into a fight with his mother, Gail Clevenger. The fight started over his bad school grades, which resulted in him strangling his own mother to death. Gregory then proceeded to call two of his friends to help him bury her body and stage a robbery at his house. Gregory buried her body under a church fire pit and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, what I'm about to show you is Gregory explaining exactly how he committed the murder, and it's absolutely disturbing, because keep in mind, this was his own mother.
Whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. Alright? I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times. I drove around Daytona, I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fucking fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole, pretty deep. Yeah, deep enough to put a body in.
No remorse.
All this time, my mom was decomposing body. I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, so I dug that hole, threw her body in there, filled back in, made it look all nice and natural, dumped my clothes, and then I went home.
I'm being serious. If you ever see this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day. Now, at first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. And yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This, of course, is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now, the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own, because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. And I am talking Great British. And on top of that, hurts. Like, really badly. Now, this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body. Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
In 2010.
That's crazy, bro. I didn't even know freaking an octopus, I guess arm or leg had that much freaking suction power, bro. So if you see it, follow his advice, turn away, bro. Don't try to attach that onto your body, man. We learn it.
And an avid caver named Jeff decided to go to Madagascar to explore a natural cave shaft he had discovered years earlier. He arrived in country. Jeff enters the cave when he notices something out of the corner of his eye, and he sees thousands of black widow spiders trying to escape the light. As much as Jeff wanted to stop right there and go right back up to the surface, he couldn't. He needed technical gear, and his technical gear was packed in his backpack, and so he would have to descend to the bottom, then take his pack off, get the gear out, and go back up. He began his slow, awful descent into this cave filled with spiders. He'd bump into the wall, he'd hear them scatter all over the walls, and then he saw them climbing on his sleeve, he saw them on the rope. He finally gets to the bottom, and he opens it up. Spiders crawl out of his bag, carefully reaches in and pulls out his technical gear, throws it up, and he begins making his way back up. Once he gets to the surface, the first thing he does is he strips all of his clothing off to get all the spiders off of his clothing. Luckily, he doesn't get bent, and he takes his notebook out, and he scratches off the title he had given this cave. cave from the last time he was here, which was the Crooked Tube. He scratches that up, and on top of it he writes, the entrance to hell.
Things we all believed as kids. For some reason, I thought that if I swallowed watermelon seeds, an entire tree would grow inside of me. Now at night, if you didn't start running to your room as soon as you turned off the lights, the monster that was somehow chasing you would catch you and eat you. A blanket could literally protect us from anything, and I would still argue that my blanket is a modern-day shield. My parents used to tell me if I crossed my eyes for long enough, my eyes would stay stuck that way forever.
Yep, those were like myths as the kids.
Things you can't unsee. The KFC logo looks like Colonel Sanders has a tiny body. Now I can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed that the letter G is simply a spinning arrow? Those drowning signs at the beach look very similar to LOL. There's nothing funny about drowning. The Dodge Viper logo looks like Daffy Duck upside down. Ever noticed how water fountain drains look like a Wi-Fi logo? This sign for a German school looks a bit suspicious. Did you know there's a bear hidden inside the Toblerone logo? Did you ever notice Nelson from The Simpsons is simply a young Barney? And in the 7-Eleven logo, only the N is in lowercase. The Hunger Games Mockingjay logo looks very similar to Johnny Bravo. And I bet you never realized the Big Bang Theory's Dexter's Laboratory grown up. Also, the collar on the Wendy's girl says Mom. Homer Simpson has MG sneaked onto him. These are the initials of Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator.
I never realized.
And finally, the Adidas logo kind of looks like a sinking ship.
Damn, all these hidden logos and stuff, bro. They were right in front of our eyes and we never even knew. It goes to make you think, man, what other logos have hidden messages behind it? The more you know. That's the edit. We calling them out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
And old jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Wanna pollinate with a real bug? Oh, lady, cut like lava. Yeah.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
What would happen
What
if
the
you didn't
heck?
have a shower for 60 years? This is the world's dirtiest man, and he was born in 1928 in Iran, and apparently he hasn't taken a shower in 60 years, because he says he's scared of water and he thinks having a shower could kill him. And because he hasn't showered for so long, his immune system has gotten used to his body being this dirty. But over the years, people from other town have challenged him to have a shower in exchange for money, and he still tells them that he's so scared of it. So they offered him even more money, so he took it. But a few days after taking a shower, he died, because apparently his immune system was not used to him being so clean, which caused his body to go into extreme shock and pain. And before he died, he described the pain as a sharp burning sensation. What do you think caused this?
He really passed away because he took a shower? One of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet, Seekers.
A bad guy.
Bermuda Triangle? Yeah, that's another one. Antarctica. We ain't going to those places, man. That's off the bucket list. There's this guy that's at it. Call him like we see it.
A time traveler just took a lie detector test and passed it. I'm about to share with you all of his predictions for the upcoming future. So quickly make sure to favorite this video so we can come back to it to see if he was right. Let's start off with August of 2028, where aliens are meant to land here on Earth.
Yes, it is true that aliens did land on Earth in August 2028.
In fact, he states knowledge. What? Next up, in the year 2030, the world will be governed under one law. This actually isn't a bad one. All of Earth's countries converge into one super nation.
In 2030, all of the world's countries converge into one supernation.
Next up, he goes on to say he has a chip inside of him. In fact, all humans from 2045 have this. And it has a name. Watch this.
I do have an implanted chip in my hand known as the One.
He claims it'll be rolled out to the public in 2029. It's a good thing no one's working on this, right? But there's even more predictions, and as I said, he was on a lie detector machine, in which every single answer came out true. In fact, even the lie detector machine guy said that he answered very quickly and very confidently. So it leads me to ask you this, is it all real? Now do me a favor, send this to literally anyone you know, because your friends need to see this.
Like the video, man, so more people can see this. That time travel theory, bro. It's chilling. What the hell happened? That was some footage we showed. Was that the debate? The mayhem. Appreciate him bringing this down for us. Fill up a stadium? God damn.
Before and after animals growing up. This is what a baby white tiger looks like. They're born blind and only weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they soon turn into this. Adult white tigers are ferocious and dangerous. They have a bite force of 1050 psi. To put that in perspective, a human's bite force is 162.
Damn.
They also grow razor-sharp teeth. This is what a baby Alaskan Malamute looks like. They're born with blue eyes and are tiny, fluffy, and cute. But when they grow up, they look like this. They become powerful and fierce, and their blue eyes change to brown, amber, or hazel. This is what a baby salamander looks like. They are tiny at only 2.5 centimeters in length, but when they grow older, they turn massive. Their skin turns thick and scaly. They also live for a very long time, sometimes 80 years or more. This is what a baby crocodile looks like. They're very cute and tiny at only 20 centimeters, but they're not so cute when they grow up. They become one of the most aggressive animals known to man, and can weigh a mind-blowing 2,200 pounds. This is what a baby pit bull looks like. They're very cute with oversized eyes and ears. But when they get older, they become very muscular.
Damn.
If not raised well, these can be very dangerous, which is why pit bulls are banned in over 10 countries.
What you're about to see is intense. What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine.
Oh, what the heck?
He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. Did he have to like jump onto the sub? Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be hard to get on.
Is he speaking like another language too? Oh yeah, he definitely jumped. This is something like out of a movie scene. Whew.
Job? So make sure these criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
That was like out of a movie scene. Serious. What is that? What's another edit?
These are the world's most haunted dolls.
Okay.
Starting at number 4.
Letter the doll. Dolls be creeping me out. I ain't a fan, man. Okay. That one looks even more freaking. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here we go. And about, yeah, they made, yeah, I'm gonna say they made movies about that. Hell no, I'm not even risking that. Nah, I'm good. Robert. Nah. Dress up like a little boy. Cursed energy, bro. I can feel it through the screen. Be writing letters to it too. No. You can't even take a video of it. Stay away from those dolls.
Country, they decided that these are the top 21 most hated foods in the world. Coming in at number 21 is Brussels sprouts.
Really?
Science were born to innately reject bitter foods. I couldn't agree more. At number 20 is cantaloupe. I don't agree with this at all. I love cantaloupe. Do I like it as much as watermelon, dragon fruit? No, but it definitely should not be on this list. At number 19 is pickles. I personally love pickles, but a lot of people voted them on the list because they're obnoxious shape. Also, people don't like their sour smell and annoying crunch. At number 18 is black licorice. Definitely.
Yep.
Compared to red licorice or other candy, yeah, it needs to be on that list. At number 17, you guessed it, canned tuna. Tuna salad was actually labeled as Atlanta, Georgia's #1 most hated food. At number 16 is candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love it so much, I do not understand that. At number 15 is Spam. I just don't understand the hype behind the canned meat.
At number 14 is mayonnaise. I actually have a traumatic childhood experience with mayonnaise, so I would put this at number 1 on my list. At number 13 is ginger, based off of its smell. I actually love ginger, and when I'm sick, I make a hot honey lemon ginger tea. It's the way to go. At number 12 is liver. Do I even need to say more?
Yeah, no.
At number 11 is pineapple pizza. If you're somebody that likes pineapple on your pizza, jail.
Not me.
Just go. Jail. Now for the top 10, bologna. I used to love bologna as a kid, and then I had it like 20,000 times. I haven't had it in like literally 25 years. Number 9 is circus peanuts. Totally disagree with that. I love these things so much. Number 8 is eggplants. Doesn't taste like eggs at all and super bitter. Definitely should be on the list. Number 7 is bitter gourd. I've personally never had it before, but I guess it has good medicinal traits. It was voted as one of the most hated foods in China.
Okay.
Number 6 is the durian fruit. Supposedly it doesn't taste bad, but the smell is absolutely awful. And for our top 5 comes tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
I've tried so hard to like tomatoes, the different textures, I just can't get with it. Number 4 is mushrooms. This one blew me away because I love mushrooms on pizza, by themselves, as a meat substitute, but I guess the rest of the world doesn't think so. Number 3 is cilantro. Now there's actually a genetic reason behind this. If you ask a room of 100 people if they like cilantro, 14% of them will say it tastes like soap. At number 2 is olives. A lot of people think they have a very bitter, distinct flavor, and some people say they're an acquired taste. And at number 1 on the list, you guessed it, beets.
Beets?
33% of the world said they hated beets because of their earthy flavor. Let me know in the comments which food is your least favorite and which ones you thought should have been on the list.
I need your guys' list, man. Down below, seekers. Tell me, man, like I said, your most top 10, I guess, hated food or some foods I just can't stand. I really want to see you guys' thoughts down below. That's going to be interesting. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys can just help me, man, by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, man, I would really appreciate the support on you guys joining me on my journey. I do daily uploads, so I greatly appreciate the support, man. Also, one of the questions that answered his comments, he said why you kind of like look straightforward, just because the way my setup is right now. So currently, that's why it makes it seems like I'm just looking straight forward, but I'm watching the video at the same time. But if you guys want me to switch it up, I can try to do that for you guys, man. Anything I can do to make the channel better, with it. Out. Peace, YouTube.